The red dust of Kepler-7 bits swirled around Lieutenant Hannah Brooks as she checked her rifle. Her squad crouched behind broken metal walls in the ruins of an old mining station. The twin suns were setting, painting the alien sky purple and orange. "Murphy, take point," Hannah whispered into her comm. "Wong, watch our left. Torres and Chen, cover the rear." Her team moved like shadows through the debris. They had trained together for months, and each soldier knew their job. Sergeant Jake Murphy led the way, his scanner searching for enemy movement. Corporal Lisa Wine kept her eyes on the rocky cliffs to their left. Private Ryan Torres and Private Emma Chen watched behind them, weapons ready. This place was called No Man's Land for a reason. No humans, no Zillithi, just death waiting in the dust. Hannah touched her helmet's display. The mission briefing glowed in green text. Scout enemy positions. Count their numbers. Report back. Simple orders, but nothing was simple on Kepler-7 bits. The Zillithi were unlike any enemy Earth had fought before. Their bodies were made of living rock and crystal. Bullets barely scratched them. They moved through stone like humans move through water, and they never showed mercy. Movement ahead. Murphy's voice crackled through the comm. 50 meters. Behind that collapsed tower. Hannah raised her fist. The squad froze. She pulled out her binoculars and studied the area. The tower Murphy mentioned had fallen months ago during a bombing run. Perfect cover for an ambush. "Could be nothing," Wang whispered. "Wind moves a lot of junk around here." Hannah knew Wang was right, but her gut told her something was wrong. The air felt too still. The usual sounds of small desert creatures had stopped. "Chen, Torres, set up overwatch position on that ridge," Hannah ordered. "Murphy, Wang, with me. We'll check it out." They moved forward slowly. Hannah's boots crunched on broken glass and twisted metal. Sweat dripped down her back despite the cooling evening air. 20 meters, 10 meters, 5. The attack came from everywhere at once. Blue energy bolts sliced through the air. The ground exploded around them. Hannah threw herself behind a concrete barrier as Zillithi warriors emerged from the very rocks themselves. "Contact! Contact!" Murphy screamed into his comm. "Multiple hostiles." Hannah fired 3 shots at a Zillithi warrior. The bullets sparked off its crystal armor. She rolled to new cover as an energy blast melted the spot where she had been. "Fall back," she ordered, fighting withdrawal to Point Alpha. But the Zillithi had planned well. More warriors appeared behind them, cutting off their escape route. Torres went down first, an energy bolt burning through his chest armor. Chen dragged him behind a pile of rubble, but Hannah could see the young private wasn't moving. "This is Brooks," Hannah shouted into her comm. "We need immediate extraction. We're pinned down." Static filled her ears. Then Captain Frank Morrison's voice cut through clearly. "Negative, Lieutenant. Area too hot. Pull back to secondary position." "Sir, we can't move. Torres is down. We need support." An explosion knocked Hannah off her feet. Hot metal tore through her left leg and stomach. She screamed as she hit the ground. Blood soaked through her uniform. "Lieutenant's hit," Murphy yelled. He started toward her, but more energy fire forced him back. "Brooks, status." Morrison's voice was cold, calculating. Hannah pressed her hand against her wounds. "I'm hit bad, sir. Can't walk. Need immediate evac." A long pause. Then Morrison spoke again. "All units, fall back to base. That's an order." "What about the lieutenant?" Murphy asked. She knew the risks. "Move out. Now." Hannah watched in horror as her squad began to retreat. Murphy hesitated, looking back at her. Their eyes met across the battlefield. "Jake," she gasped into her comm. "Don't leave me here." But orders were orders. Murphy turned away. One by one, her team disappeared into the growing darkness. The sounds of battle faded. Hannah lay alone in the dust, her blood pooling beneath her. The Zillithi were coming. She could hear their heavy footsteps getting closer. With shaking hands, Hannah grabbed her rifle and dragged herself toward a crack in the ground. She had to hide, had to survive, because she would make it back. And when she did, there would be questions to answer. Hannah pulled herself into the crack, leaving a trail of blood in the dust. The narrow space led to an old maintenance tunnel. Her hand shook as she switched on her helmet light. The beam cut through the darkness, showing rusted pipes and concrete walls. Every movement sent fire through her wounds. She leaned against the cold wall and looked at the damage. Shrapnel had torn through her leg and stomach. The blood wouldn't stop. Got to fix this, she whispered through clenched teeth. Hannah opened her medical kit with trembling fingers. The combat knife felt heavy in her hand. She bit down on her rifle strap and started digging out the metal pieces. The pain was beyond words. Stars danced in her vision, but she kept working. One piece, two, three. Each one clinked as it hit the tunnel floor. She sprayed emergency sealant on the wounds. The foam hardened quickly, stopping the worst of the bleeding. Then came the stim shot. The needle went into her thigh. Energy flooded her system, pushing back the darkness at the edge of her vision. Her comm unit crackled with static. Broken voices came through in pieces. Fall back complete. No sign of pursuit. What about Brooks? Then Captain Morrison's voice, clear and cold. Command, this is Morrison. Lieutenant Brooks is KIA. Repeat, Brooks is killed in action. Returning to base. Hannah's blood ran cold. Not missing. Not wounded. Dead. He had written her off completely. You bastard, she hissed. I'm still breathing. Heavy footsteps echoed above. The Zillethi were searching. Their voices sounded like grinding stone, speaking in a language she didn't understand. Beams of blue light swept past the tunnel entrance. Hannah switched off her helmet light and held her breath. The Zillethi warrior stopped right above her hiding spot. Its crystal feet scraped against the metal. It called out to others. More footsteps approached. She gripped her rifle tighter. If they found her, she would fight. She would take some of them with her. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the footsteps moved away. The Zillethi were searching other areas. Hannah let out a slow breath. She checked her tactical scanner. The screen showed her position deep in no man's land. The human base was 15 kilometers away. Between her and safety lay open ground, Zillethi patrols, and automated defense systems. Her water supply was low. 3 energy bars in her pack. 1 spare power cell for her rifle. Not enough for a direct journey back. The scanner also showed something else. A network of maintenance tunnels ran beneath the old mining complex. They went deeper underground, away from the base, but they might offer protection from Zillethi patrols. Hannah weighed her options. Stay here and die slowly. Try to reach the base and die quickly, or go deeper and maybe find another way. She chose to go deeper. The tunnel sloped downward. Hannah crawled on her hands and knees, dragging her injured leg. The air grew cooler. Her breath made small clouds in the beam of her helmet light. After an hour, she found a junction room. Old mining equipment lined the walls. A water recycling unit hummed in the corner. Still working after all these years. Hannah filled her canteen and drank deeply. She ate half an energy bar and checked her wounds. The sealant held, but infection was a real danger. The nano-antibiotics in her med kit would help, but she needed proper medical care soon. Her comm unit picked up more chatter from the base. Her squad had returned safely. Morrison was giving his report. He spoke of heroic sacrifice and overwhelming enemy numbers. Lies wrapped in military honor. Hannah recorded every word. If she made it back, she would need proof. The scanner showed more tunnels ahead. Some led to old storage areas. Others went deeper still. She had to keep moving. The Zillethi would search everywhere, eventually. As she prepared to continue, one thought burned in her mind. She would survive. She would return. and Captain Morrison would answer for his betrayal. 3 days passed in the darkness. Hannah moved through the tunnels like a ghost. She slept in short bursts, always listening for danger. The emergency rations were almost gone. She found water dripping from old pipes and collected it in her canteen. Her wounds burned with fever. The nano-antibiotics fought the infection, but she needed real medical help. Every step sent waves of pain through her body. Still, she pushed forward. On the third night, Hannah's scanner picked up something strange. The tunnel ahead gave off a faint energy reading. Not human technology. Not standard Zillithi signals either. Something different. She checked her rifle's power cell. Half charge left. Enough for one fight if needed. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Hannah stopped at the entrance, her mouth falling open. The walls were covered in glowing crystals. Blue and purple light danced across ancient stone carvings. The air hummed with energy. This wasn't a mine. It was something else entirely. Hannah limped forward, drawn by the strange beauty. The crystals pulsed like heartbeats. When she got closer, she saw they were arranged in patterns, circles within circles, lines connecting different groups. It looked almost like writing. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform. More crystals grew there, forming a complex structure. Hannah approached carefully. Her scanner went crazy, picking up energy signatures it couldn't identify. She reached out to touch one of the crystals. The moment her finger made contact, the entire chamber blazed with light. Hannah jumped back, raising her rifle. But nothing attacked. Instead, the crystals began to change color. Images appeared in the air above the platform. Moving pictures made of light. Hannah watched, amazed. The images showed Zillithi, but not as she knew them. These were different, peaceful. They tended gardens of crystal. They sang to make the stones grow. Children played in pools of liquid light. More images appeared. Zillithi ships arriving at this planet, building cities, creating this chamber. It was a temple, Hannah realized, a holy place. Then came darker pictures, human colony ships in space, massive earth-moving machines, a human mining operation crushing a field of crystal flowers. Zillithi bodies scattered among the broken stones. Hannah felt sick. She knew this story. Every human soldier did. First contact with the Zillithi. They had attacked our colonists without warning. Killed hundreds. Started this war. But these images told a different tale. The mining operation had destroyed a Zillithi nursery. The crystals weren't just pretty rocks. They were eggs. Thousands of Zillithi children, crushed before they could hatch. Hannah sank to her knees. The official history was a lie. Humans had struck first, even if by accident. The Zillithi hadn't attacked without reason. They had retaliated for the death of their young. She forced herself to watch more. The images showed Zillithi leaders trying to communicate, sending messages, offering to negotiate. But the human military had refused. The war was too profitable, too useful for controlling the colonies. Names appeared in the crystal display. Human names, officers who had hidden the truth. And there, glowing brighter than the rest, Captain Frank Morrison. Hannah's fever-clouded mind struggled to process it all. Morrison knew. He had always known. The war was built on lies, and he was part of the cover-up. A sound echoed through the chamber. Footsteps. Heavy, grinding footsteps. Hannah spun around, raising her rifle. 3 Zillithi warriors stood at the entrance. Their crystal bodies caught the chamber's light. They carried weapons but hadn't raised them. The lead warrior stepped forward. Its voice sounded like stones rubbing together. But the crystals around Hannah began to glow, and somehow she understood. Human, you see truth. You understand. Hannah kept her weapon ready but didn't fire. I see what really happened. The nursery. The children. Yes, you are first to know. First to care. The warrior moved closer. Its companions stayed back, weapons lowered. This place is sacred. Humans destroy sacred things. But you listen. You learn. Hannah's mind raced. She was surrounded, outgunned, and weak from infection. But the Zealothi weren't attacking. They were talking. For the first time in 3 days, she felt something besides pain and anger. She felt hope. Hannah lowered her rifle slowly. The lead Zealothi warrior stepped into the light of the crystal chamber. Its body was covered in scars, marks of many battles, but its weapons remained pointing at the ground. I am Vex Prime, the warrior said through the crystal translation, war leader of the southern clans. You are hurt, dying. Hannah nodded. The fever made her vision blur. My people left me behind, said I was dead. We know. We heard your communications, watched your kind abandon you. Vex Prime moved to the crystal platform. It touched several stones in sequence. New images appeared in the air. These showed recent events, secret meetings between humans and Zealothi. Not battles, but exchanges, money changing hands, information being traded. You're Captain Morrison, Vex Prime said. He sells your positions to our extremist factions. They pay well for human deaths. Hannah stared at the images. Encrypted messages floated past. Bank transfers, coordinates, patrol schedules, all traced back to Morrison. He's not the only one, Vex Prime continued. Both sides have those who profit from war. They work together. Keep the fighting going. Keep the credits flowing. The warrior touched more crystals. A map appeared, showing the human colony. Red markers indicated planned attack routes. Tomorrow night, extremists will strike here. Vex Prime pointed to the civilian sector. Families, children. Your Morrison gave them the security codes. Hannah's hands tightened on her rifle. How many will die? Thousands. The attack will destroy peace talks forever. Both sides will demand total war. The profiteers win. Hannah swayed on her feet. The infection was getting worse. Vex Prime noticed and made a gesture to its companions. One warrior stepped forward, producing a small crystal vial. Zealothi medicine, Vex Prime explained, will stop infection, make you strong enough to travel. Hannah hesitated. Trust came hard after 3 years of war, but what choice did she have? She took the vial and drank. The liquid tasted like ice and electricity. Within moments, the fever began to break. Why help me? She asked. Because you saw truth. Because you can stop this madness. Vex Prime's crystal eyes reflected the chamber's light. My people are tired of war. We want our sacred sites protected, want to raise our young in peace. But the extremists silence moderate voices, kill any who speak of surrender. The medicine worked quickly. Hannah felt strength returning to her limbs. Her mind cleared. She studied the attack plans again. Can you stop them? The extremists. Not alone. They have human weapons, human intel. But together, Vex Prime paused. You know human tactics. Know how Morrison thinks. We know extremist hiding places. Together, we might succeed. Hannah understood. This was bigger than her survival. Bigger than revenge against Morrison. This was about preventing a massacre and maybe ending the war. What about after? She asked. If we stop the attack, what then? You return to your base. Expose the traitors. We present evidence to moderate faction leaders. Show them human cooperation. Build trust. It was a desperate plan. So many things could go wrong. But Hannah had seen the truth in the crystal chamber, knew what the war really was. A lie, a business, a tragedy that could have been avoided. She thought of the families in the colony, kids playing in the streets, parents who believed their military protected them. They would die because of Morrison's greed. I'll do it, Hannah said, but I need proof, evidence I can show my people. Vex Prime touched the central crystal. A small shard broke off, glowing with stored data. The warrior handed it to Hannah. Everything is here. The conspiracy. The truth about first contact. The planned attack. Guard it well. Hannah tucked the crystal into her armor. It felt warm against her chest. When do we leave? Now. The extremists gather at dawn. We must reach them first. Hannah checked her rifle and remaining supplies. She was still weak, but the Zealothy medicine gave her enough strength to fight. She looked at the 3 warriors who would have been her enemies just hours ago. Now they were her only hope of preventing a massacre. "Lead the way," she said. Together, Human and Zealothy left the sacred chamber, united by a fragile trust and a shared purpose. Time was running out. The twin suns rose over Kepler 7 bits as Hannah followed Vex Prime through narrow canyons. The 2 other Zealothy warriors moved like shadows beside them. Their crystal bodies blended with the rocks, nearly invisible even in daylight. Hannah's tactical display showed they were moving fast. The Zealothy medicine had worked wonders. Her wounds still hurt, but she could run, climb, and fight. There, Vex Prime pointed to a cluster of caves ahead. "Extremist base. They gather weapons here." Hannah pulled out her scanner. "How many?" 20 fighters, maybe more. They wait for night to attack." She studied the terrain. 1 main entrance, 2 smaller exits cut into the canyon walls. Classic defensive position. "They'll have guards," Hannah said. "If we alert them, they scatter. The attack happens anyway." Vex Prime crouched beside her. "You know human military thinking. What do you suggest?" It felt strange, planning an assault with Zealothy warriors. 3 days ago, she would have shot them on sight. Now they were trusting her with their lives. "We need to get inside without raising alarms," Hannah said. "Do they have human weapons?" "Yes. Your Morrisons supply plasma rifles, grenades, even tactical armor." Hannah grimaced. That armor would make the extremists tough to stop. Standard Zealothy weapons relied on energy that human armor could deflect. "I have an idea," she said, "but it's risky." She explained her plan. The Zealothy listened carefully. When she finished, Vex Prime made a sound like grinding stones. Hannah realized it was laughter. "Clever, dangerous, but clever. We try." An hour later, Hannah approached the cave entrance alone. She limped badly, dragging her rifle. Blood from reopened wounds stained her uniform. To anyone watching, she looked like a dying soldier who had wandered too far from base. 2 Zealothy guards emerged from the rocks. They carried human plasma rifles. One spoke in broken English. "Human, stop. You died here." Hannah collapsed to her knees. "Please," she gasped. "Water. Medicine. Morrison. Morrison sent me." The guards looked at each other. The name Morrison meant something to them. "You know Morrison. My captain. He gave me codes. For tonight." Hannah pulled a data pad from her pocket. She had loaded it with false information, mixing real military protocols with useless data. One guard stepped closer to look. That's when Vex Prime struck. The warrior burst from the ground itself, tackling the first guard. The second guard raised its weapon, but Hannah was already moving. She rolled forward, sweeping its legs. Her combat knife found the weak spot between its crystal plates. The other 2 Zealothy warriors appeared, finishing the guards silently. No alarms, no warnings. "Well done," Vex Prime said. "Now the hard part." They moved into the cave system. Hannah's scanner mapped the tunnels as they went. The extremists had turned this place into a fortress. Weapons lockers lined the walls. Stolen human equipment lay stacked in corners. Voices echoed ahead. Hannah counted at least 15 distinct speakers. They were discussing the attack, arguing over targets. "The school first," one harsh voice said. "Maximum terror, then the hospital." Hannah's jaw tightened. These weren't soldiers. They were terrorists. She hand-signaled to Vex Prime. 3 groups. Hit them simultaneously. No survivors. The warrior nodded and passed the message to its companions. They split up, each taking a different tunnel. Hannah crept forward until she could see the main chamber. Zealothy extremists clustered around holographic displays. The attack plans glowed in the air, just like the intelligence Vex Prime had shown her. She recognized the leader immediately. Larger than the others, its body covered in kill markings. This one had led raids that killed hundreds of humans. Hannah pulled the plasma grenade from her belt. The guards had carried several. She set the timer and waited for Vex Prime's signal. A crystal chime echoed through the caves. The signal. Hannah threw the grenade into the chamber and opened fire. Chaos erupted. Extremists scrambled for weapons. Plasma bolts filled the air. Vex Prime charged from another tunnel, its warriors beside it. They fought with brutal efficiency. In moments, half the extremists were down. But the leader was fast. It grabbed a human rocket launcher and aimed at Hannah. She dove aside as the missile exploded behind her. Rock fragments peppered her armor. "The human is mine," the extremist leader roared. It advanced on Hannah, discarding the empty launcher. Her rifle clicked empty. The extremist leader charged at Hannah. Its crystal fists could crush human bones like paper. She rolled backward, grabbing a fallen plasma rifle. The weapon was damaged, sparking in her hands. Vex Prime leaped between them, blocking the leader's attack. The two Zelethi crashed together with a sound like breaking mountains. "Go," Vex Prime shouted. "Find the detonators." Hannah understood. The extremists would have bombs ready for the colony attack. She had to find them while Vex Prime fought the leader. She ran deeper into the cave system, following power signatures on her scanner. Two extremists tried to stop her. Her knife found their weak points. The Zelethi medicine had made her faster, stronger. She moved like never before. The bomb storage room was exactly where she expected. Military-grade explosives stolen from human convoys, enough to level city blocks. The extremists had already packed some into transport containers. Hannah started disarming the weapons. Her training kicked in. Cut this wire. Remove that chip. Make them useless. Sweat dripped down her face as she worked. An explosion shook the caves. Dust fell from the ceiling. The battle in the main chamber had turned violent. She worked faster. More bombs. More detonators. Each one meant lives saved. Footsteps behind her. Hannah spun, knife ready. But it was one of Vex Prime's warriors, bleeding from crystal cracks. "Vex Prime needs help," it said. "The leader is too strong." Hannah disabled the last bomb. "These are safe now. Let's go." They ran back to the main chamber. The sight stopped Hannah cold. Bodies lay everywhere. Broken crystal and spilled blood covered the floor. Vex Prime fought alone against the extremist leader. Both warriors were badly hurt. The leader had grabbed a plasma sword, human military issue. It swung the burning blade at Vex Prime's head. Vex Prime dodged, but barely. Its movements were slowing. Hannah raised her rifle and fired. The shots bounced off the leader's armor. It turned toward her, eyes glowing with rage. "Human, you fight alongside race traitors. You will burn with them." It lunged at her with the plasma sword. Hannah tried to dodge, but her injured leg betrayed her. She fell hard. The sword descended toward her chest. Vex Prime threw itself forward. The blade meant for Hannah pierced the warrior's crystal body instead. Vex Prime screamed, a sound like shattering glass. "No." Hannah rolled away and grabbed a fallen grenade launcher. She fired point-blank at the extremist leader. The explosion threw it against the wall. She fired again and again. The leader's armor cracked. Its crystal body split. With a final grinding roar, it collapsed. Hannah crawled to Vex Prime. The plasma sword had burned straight through its torso. Crystal fluid leaked onto the stone floor. "The bombs." Vex Prime asked weakly. "Disabled. All of them. The colony is safe." Vex Prime made that grinding sound again. Laughter. "Good. Good. You kept your word." The warrior reached into its damaged armor and pulled out a crystal shard. Unlike the data crystal from before, this one pulsed with deep blue light. "Take this," Vex Prime whispered, "My command seal. Show to moderate faction. They will listen. They will trust." Hannah took the crystal. It felt warm and alive in her hands. "Hold on. We'll get you help." "No. My time ends. But peace. Peace can begin." Vex Prime's eyes dimmed. "Tell my people. Tell yours. The truth. End this madness." The great warrior's body went still. Around the chamber, the surviving Zealothi lowered their heads in respect. Even former enemies honored Vex Prime's sacrifice. Hannah stood slowly. Her body ached. Her wounds had reopened, but she was alive. The extremists were stopped. The colony was safe. She looked at the two crystals in her hands. One held proof of conspiracy. The other bore the mark of a hero who died for peace. "We need to move," she told the remaining warriors, "before reinforcements arrive." They gathered what evidence they could. Weapon shipments, communication logs, everything that linked the extremists to human traders like Morrison. As they left the caves, Hannah looked back at Vex Prime's body. The warrior had saved her life, believed in her, died for a chance at peace. She would not waste that sacrifice. The twin suns were setting as they began the journey toward the human base. Hannah had promises to keep and a captain to confront. Hannah stood at the edge of no man's land. The human base lay 2 kilometers ahead, its lights glowing in the darkness. She had walked for hours with the surviving Zealothi warriors. Now came the hardest part. She wore Vex Prime's ceremonial helmet. The crystal helm caught moonlight, making her look like something between human and Zealothi. In her pack, she carried the evidence that would expose everything. "This is where we part," said the senior Zealothi warrior. "You go alone from here." Hannah nodded. "What will you tell your people?" "The truth. Vex Prime died as a hero. The extremists are finished, and humans can be trusted." The warrior paused. Some humans. They had avoided all patrols on the journey back. The Zealothi knew secret paths through the wasteland. But now Hannah had to approach the base openly. Let them see her coming. She activated her emergency beacon. Within seconds, alarms sounded at the base. Searchlights swept the darkness until they found her. She raised her hands, rifle slung across her back. "Hold position." A voice boomed from speakers. "Identify yourself." Hannah keyed her comm. "Lieutenant Hannah Brooks, serial number 4-47-29, returning from patrol." Silence, then confusion in the voices she heard. "Brooks is listed as KIA. This is some trick." "I'm alive," Hannah said firmly, "and I need to report to command. Immediately." Soldiers approached in a combat formation. Their weapons stayed trained on her. She recognized some faces. Murphy was there, eyes wide with shock. "Lieutenant, is that really you?" Murphy's voice cracked. "We thought." Morrison said. Morrison lied. Hannah said, "About many things. I need to speak to Colonel Martinez." Now, they escorted her inside the base. Soldiers stared as she passed. The Zealothi helmet drew gasps and whispers. Word spread quickly. The dead lieutenant had returned. Medical staff tried to examine her, but Hannah refused. "After I report. This can't wait." They reached the command center. Captain Morrison stood at the main display, giving orders for night patrols. He turned as Hannah entered. All color drained from his face. "Brooks." The name came out like a curse. "You're supposed to be dead." "Sorry to disappoint you, Captain." Hannah's voice was ice. "I need to speak to Colonel Martinez about the Zealothi attack planned for tonight." Morrison's hand moved toward his sidearm. "There's no attack. You're confused, traumatized, probably corrupted by enemy influence." Other officers filled the room. Colonel Susan Martinez pushed through the crowd. She was a small woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Lieutenant Brooks," Martinez said carefully, "we received confirmation of your death 4 days ago." Captain Morrison filed the report himself. "He left me to die," Hannah said. after taking payment to betray our positions, just like he sold tonight's security codes to zealothy extremists. Morrison drew his weapon. She's been brainwashed. Look at her, wearing enemy gear, speaking their lies. But Martinez raised a hand. Lower your weapon, Captain. Let her speak. Hannah pulled out the data crystal. Everything is here. The conspiracy. The truth about first contact. Morrison's bank records. The planned attack on civilian sectors tonight. The crystal projected its contents into the air. Documents. Audio recordings. Video evidence. Morrison's voice authorizing weapons sales. Extremist communications. The real story of the destroyed nursery. The room went deadly quiet. Morrison's face twisted with rage. He swung his pistol toward Hannah. She was faster. Her knife left her hand before he could fire. It struck his wrist, sending the gun flying. Morrison lunged for another weapon. Security officers tackled him to the ground. He fought like a wild animal, screaming denials and threats. Check the civilian sectors, Hannah told Martinez urgently. The extremists had bombs. We stopped them, but there might be backup plans. Martinez was already giving orders. Teams deployed to search for threats. Communications went out to all patrols. The helmet, Martinez asked. Why are you wearing it? Hannah touched the crystal helm. It belonged to Vex Prime, a zealothy warrior who died saving my life, who helped stop the attack, who believed peace was possible. She pulled out the second crystal. Vex Prime's command seal pulsed with blue light. This is his gift, proof that zealothy moderates want to end the war. Will you listen? Martinez studied Hannah's face. Then she nodded slowly. I'll listen. Colonel Martinez ordered the command center cleared. Only senior officers remained. Hannah stood before them, still wearing Vex Prime's helmet. The evidence crystals glowed on the table. Show us everything, Martinez said. Hannah activated both crystals. The room filled with holographic displays. The true story of first contact played out. The destroyed nursery. The dead zealothy young. The cover-up that followed. Officers watched in stunned silence. Some looked sick, others angry. All understood they had been part of a lie. Next came the conspiracy files. Morrison wasn't alone. A network of war profiteers on both sides had kept the conflict going. Arms dealers, military contractors, politicians who won elections on war rhetoric. My God, Martinez whispered. 3 years of fighting. Thousands dead. For money. Hannah touched Vex Prime's command seal. New images appeared. Zealothy moderates gathering in secret, planning peace initiatives, being silenced or killed by extremists. They want peace, Hannah said. They've always wanted peace, but the extremists and our own traitors stopped every attempt. A junior officer burst in. Colonel, we found explosives in the civilian sectors. 3 bombs. All disarmed now. They had today's security codes. Martinez's face hardened. She turned to the security chief. Arrest everyone on Morrison's contact list. Full investigation. No exceptions. What about the zealothy? Another officer asked. Do we keep fighting? Hannah stepped forward. There's another way. She held up the command seal. This belonged to Vex Prime, a moderate leader. His followers are waiting. They'll negotiate if we show good faith. Martinez studied the glowing crystal. What do they want? Protection for their sacred sites. Compensation for the destroyed nursery. A neutral zone around their temples. Hannah's voice grew stronger. Things we should have offered from the beginning. The colonel made her decision. Open a secure channel. All frequencies. I want both sides to hear this. Communications officers worked quickly. Soon, the channel was open. Martinez took the microphone. This is Colonel Susan Martinez, acting commander of human forces on Kepler 7 bits. We have uncovered evidence of conspiracy and war crimes on both sides. Effective immediately, I'm ordering a ceasefire. She held up the command seal. Its blue light pulsed brighter. We possess the seal of Vex Prime, who died protecting innocent lives. We're ready to discuss terms with legitimate Zelethi leadership. The killing stops now. Static filled the speakers. Then voices. Human commanders demanding explanations. Zelethi warriors arguing among themselves. Chaos on all channels. But one voice cut through clearly. An elderly Zelethi speaking perfect English. I am Elder Crix of the Moderate Council. Vex Prime was my grandson. You say you have his seal. Hannah stepped to the microphone. He gave it to me before he died. He saved my life. Believed in peace. We stopped the extremist attack together. Long silence. Then, the one called Brooks. You wear his helm. Yes, to honor his sacrifice. Come to the neutral ground. Bring the seal. Bring your evidence. We will talk. 3 days later, Hannah stood in the neutral ground between territories. She had traded her combat armor for dress uniform, but kept Vex Prime's helmet. Colonel Martinez stood beside her. Across the dusty plain, Zelethi moderates approached. Elder Crix studied Hannah carefully. The old Zelethi's crystal body showed centuries of wear, but his eyes were sharp and clear. You honored my grandson, Crix said. Rare for a human. He honored humanity by trusting me, Hannah replied. We can learn from each other. The negotiations took weeks. There were setbacks. Hardliners on both sides resisted. But the evidence was overwhelming. The conspiracy unraveled. Morrison and his allies faced trial. Zelethi extremists lost support as the truth spread. Hannah served as a translator, using her knowledge of crystal interfaces. She helped both sides understand not just words, but intentions. Trust grew slowly, like crystal formations. The final peace treaty was signed at the site of the destroyed nursery. Humans helped plant new crystal gardens. Zelethi taught humans to sing to the stones, making them grow. The war that had started with destruction ended with creation. Hannah was offered promotion to captain. She declined. Instead, she became Earth's first ambassador to the Zelethi. She built her office near the crystal chambers where she had learned the truth. She kept Vex Prime's helmet on her desk, a reminder that peace often comes from the most unexpected places, that former enemies can become allies. That truth, however painful, is always better than comfortable lies. The war was over. Understanding had begun.